Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It is Hate Week, and IT Live is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. We're going to break down the Oklahoma Sooners. This week feels weird, man. It's supposed to be a jovial week, a week of excitement and anticipation, and it's there's not much going on the Texas side on Twitter. Everyone's pretty quiet. It doesn't have that feel yet, man. So we're going to have to see what happens. Y'all need to go over to InsideTexas.com, join for just $1 single and get a full year of access to The Athletic. Also, something really cool we got going, guys. Texas fans, it's on. Join us at Texas Live in Arlington on Friday, October 10th from 11 to 2 for the Red River Reunion. We're teaming up with the Bear Bryant Coach of the Year Award for a free live event the day before Texas OU. We've got two legends joining us, Mac Brown and Barry Switzer. It's going to be a blast. Stories, laughs, and a whole lot of football talk. So grab your crew, wear your burnt orange, and kick off Rivalry weekend with us. Let's pack Texas Live, support Mac, and drown out the Crimson. At 11 a.m., you've got the Oklahoma Breakdown live podcast. They do a great job over there. Right after that, at noon is us. You can watch the live Inside Texas podcast. And then at 1, you've got Mac and Switzer's conversation. Those are two entertaining guys. You'll like it. That's this Friday, 11 to 2 at Texas Live in Arlington. Like I said, it's a free event. Come hang out. It's going to be awesome. Hey, Paul, how art thou?
Bieno.
Good. Man, the chat's already going, man. Y'all aren't playing around. Looking forward to the breakdown. Me too, man. Hopefully. Hate Week is a great week. I agree. Good morning, guys. It's going to be fun keeping up with the chat today. All right. Any quick thoughts on Florida, Paul, before we get into the meat of the show?
I had 5,000 words of quick thoughts on Florida on my postmortems I wrote on Sunday. Basically sat down, watched the game live, watched it again on my video, just on my DVR, and then I watched the All-22, and it wasn't good. It didn't feel like a one-score loss. I can tell you that. If we recast this as like this was a tough one-score loss on the road to a team, it's like we got our ass kicked.
Yeah.
So, I think actually clarity about that is actually useful, right? Because then it says, okay, we weren't exactly what we thought we were in some areas. And I'm not talking about me and you. I'm talking about our coaches. Maybe look, the scoreboard is the ultimate realization because you can point stuff out and say, hey, this isn't good. Hey, we can't do this. And people are like, we won by 55. What are you talking about? And you just kind of go, all right, well, it's coming. We'll wait for the scoreboard to show you what we're saying. And then it shows, and then everyone goes, what's wrong with the offensive line? Paul, what's going on with the offensive line? It's like, I've been telling you what's going on with the offensive line since Ohio State, but you didn't want to listen.
Paul, we rushed for 4.5 yards per carry. How could the offensive line?
That's right. They ran for yards on a 4-man box. But ultimately, if you raise kids, you know that this is the reality. Like you can tell them, hey, you better start doing this. So the other day, my son came in and he's all upset. And he's like, I have like 11 school assignments I haven't done, and they're due Wednesday. That's the end of the first quarter. And I'm like, yeah, I've been telling you, like, you got to, if you'll spend 15 minutes a day every day, you won't have anything to worry about, right?
Were you like that, though? I would hear that. I would still do everything the night before. I got good grades.
I'm a huge procrastinator. So,
dude, everything would be the night before, even though I knew it would put me in awful trouble every single time.
That's right. It's, I was joking with Randy Boone about it, and he's like, it's a sign of intelligence.
Yeah, there's always the fun, like, well, Albert Einstein did this, Like, okay, are you Albert Einstein? Okay. Yeah, the All-22 is also interesting. I feel like I have to watch the broadcast and the All-22 because the All-22 is the most visually elucidating. Like, you can see all the angles, but the flow is off because you're just seeing individual plays. And so it's like the broadcast actually helps me with the flow of the game and like play calls and stuff like that too. So it's been interesting. I make sure I pair them because I feel like I actually do miss a little bit of game flow feel when I watch the All-22, even though the All-22 you can see everything better. I've had to kind of pair those styles.
I like the broadcast because the color guy tells me what's going on.
Dude, Arch had open stuff everywhere. Where is he at?
That's right. The color guy really is on top of the game.
Yeah.
But I can always tell that influences the perspective of the fans the next day. Like, because they'll have these weird sorts because I turn the sound off. I usually don't listen to the broadcasters because I can't bear it. But I'll have these weird things that people say, oh, yeah, so Taft was terrible. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I go, oh, the broadcast, the guy like circled him and, like on the Dallas Wilson touchdown, Taft comes over way late and tried to tackle him in the end zone. And the color guy's like, even Michael Taft can't get him on the ground. Yep. And then all the fans are like, Taft can't tackle. And it's like, that's not what happened.
Everything downfield. I don't blame them though, because you can't see everything downfield. So it's like I'm going to take the announcer's word for it, at least in the past, until I started, being able to watch all 22, and I was like, they're not telling you the truth most of the time.
Where you really need to turn down the volume, any game Tim Brando is doing.
Yeah,
it's rough. He makes up stuff as the game goes on.
He was arguing for like half a quarter of this play one time that he was clearly wrong, and the other announcer is like trying to get him off of it.
Devin Gardner.
Yeah, like you're screwing up the flow, man.
Yes, like you're messing up the broadcast. And then they brought on the official guy.
Exactly. You saw the same one.
And he's like, I have to tell you that this is clearly he did not touch it.
Yeah, that's funny. You saw that same game where like they're in Brando's like, I don't know, man. And they're just like, hey, man, let's move on to the rest. And speaking of that, let's move on to the rest.
Hey, let's do something positive and like look at the OU defense against our offense, because I think we're going to see some.
Nope,
we're going to see some opportunity.
No, let's wait on that.
Connor, we're going to see opportunity. I can't wait to show you these stats.
Yeah, and I know this is busy, guys, because this is more of a work product for me that I'm showing you guys, but I try to just make it easy with the advantage, right? So just look at that in the category, and you can know who has the advantage. If you see an exclamation mark next to that name, some of them don't have it. That's a mismatch, meaning that the rank differential is more than 80. So that's how I'm calculating my mismatch. So if you see any name with an exclamation point, it also ports it out over here, so you can just see the mismatches of the game. But let's check it out. And of course, a big factor here, right, is Mateer. So let's address that up front before we get a comment of like, well, Michael Hawkins. So yeah, we don't know. The OU's getting fanciful with their gamesmanship with Mateer as well. So I don't know. When I watched Kent State all 22 of Hawkins, he's definitely improved from last year.
I agree.
Yeah. And so that's a difference. Now, is it enough? Probably not. But he's absolutely has improved from last year. Even though the OU fans, you would have no idea, man. They hated his performance. The problem is he throws everything sidearm for no reason. And so there's still some of that going on. But
my Patrick Mahomes theory is
and
persisting.
So, but he was smarter, and he still everything has to roll out right still, but it wasn't like this panicked version. But of course, it was Kent State. So as we're talking about the offense, these are Kent State included, but mostly Mateer. And then remember, my numbers don't take into account any FCS teams, so the Illinois State game and all that is not factoring into these. We don't have FCS included in our numbers to try to solve for some of that weak scheduling. All right. So their offense is like, all right. Like it's not a bad offense. It's not an elite offense. And then we'll see what happens with Hawkins. They're 29th in points per game. They have pretty good tempo. They're 24th in plays per game. So they're moving fairly quickly. They're 68th in yards per play. So middle of the pack there. And right now they're 31st in points per drive. They're weak in their success rate is a little bit higher because they're a quick offense, right? They're a quick passing offense. They're spreading you out. They're trying to get the ball kind of moving. They lack overall explosiveness, though. 93rd in the country in explosiveness, and they're 88th in havoc rate. So they experience, and it's both in the front seven and the DBs. So they do experience their line getting beat. They do experience batted balls, all of those kind of things. I can't relate to that, but OU does have that problem sometimes. So that's the big thing is quick, short passing. Let's try to get the ball out. But they're not hitting their shots. So overall, Paul, of the offense, is there anything that interests you here? Good man.
I think the question is, so it's kind of the question not only for these stats, but also like the betting lines, right? How many points is John Mateer worth?
Right.
So people can say, well, it's a hero ball offense and Mateer is carrying them. And, it's like, yeah, it's pretty good. It works in college football until it doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So the question is, what's he worth? Do you think, I'm curious, what do you think in the chat? If you assigned a point value to John Mateer, I know sometimes people don't gamble, get all crazy. They'll be like 21 points. But I mean, like, what do you think?
Ryan Nelson says, I think he's worth 6 to 7.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
So do I. 7's what pops into my mind.
Yeah, I think I was more conservative, like 6. But because I do think that you would have seen OU have some real struggles with our defense, with Mateer, because he really is kind of doing a lot of stuff himself. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of 6s and 7s, and then 2.5 to 4.5. That's pretty conservative. It's hard to determine what Vegas thought or the markets thought, because him being out was simultaneous to our getting whipped in Gainesville, right? So you had two independent variables, and now they're co-variable, right? Yeah. So people are like, it's an 11-point swing. And it's like, well, he's not worth 11 points. Like, I don't think that's the case. But I do think OU is the favorite if a healthy John Mateer was playing in this game. You think that's fair?
Yeah.
Okay, I do too. Yeah, I think, what are we 2.5 right now? Something like that?
Yeah, what are we open? 3.5, already down to 2.5, right? So it's yeah, but I think that's fair. I think he's worth a touchdown in my mind. And so that's going to be a big thing.
So I think a lot of these statistics are buoyed by John Mateer.
100% they are, yeah.
Like anything related to run game, I would say you have to consider to the extent to which John Mateer is responsible for that. But then realize Hawkins can replace actually quite a bit of that. Mm-hmm. What Mateer offers is, like, Mateer actually makes great throws. He can make some crazy throws too, but I don't think that's what Hawkins offers. I don't think he's going to make like great throws. If he does, I think it's like kind of a happy accident. I think you just line up and say, all right, do that again, and he won't be able to do it again. So my priority would be stopping his legs, but he is a guy who plays Division I football at quarterback. If we leave someone uncovered down the field, he'll hit him.
He'll hit him. Yeah. And then just in comparison, this is Texas defense on the right. You can see that the Texas defense has the advantages overwhelmingly over the Oklahoma offense. And this is even, with Mateer. These are mostly Mateer stats. So Texas does have the advantage. The only thing that freaks me out about the Texas defense is Florida was the first team with athletes that tried to attack us, like really put it to us, and that's what we saw. But how did Florida beat us, right? They beat us with a really physical offensive line, an elite running back. Now their second back also ran pretty well, which shows that their offensive line did well. Dallas Wilson going to be a special receiver. And then Lagway, they gave Lagway SEC Offensive Player of the Week.
Yeah, they should have given it to Dallas Wilson.
Yeah, I was like, you give it to Ball or Dallas Wilson before I would give it to Lagway there. But anyways,
I think the most disconcerting thing to me about that game, and I covered this, was our defensive game plan was terrible. I mean, it was awful. And I'll get into it very quickly. You need to go join Inside Texas if you're not and read it. But basically, we didn't marry our front and the philosophy up front with what we ran behind it. And you could tell that it was a game plan designed by a committee. So I highlighted a few plays. We did this a dozen times, but there was that one play where Vernell Brown got Grayson Littleton one-on-one down the field.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, he's one-on-one. We must have been blitzing. Well, we rushed 5, but we did a containment rush. And what I mean by that is none of our guys attempted to get past the offensive lineman. They just grabbed the guy, stood there, and then slowly tried to work back towards the pocket. And we did it with 5 guys across. So a containment rush is something you call when you have a very, very mobile quarterback who doesn't make good decisions, and you're trying to force him to stay in the pocket and throw the ball. And then you run zone and like robber coverages behind. And the idea is you want to turn this guy over and get in his head. Lagway was injured. Lagway's under orders not to run. Lagway did not have a carry in that game. And multiple times we ran containment rush where we're not even trying to get pressure on him. What team forced 5 turnovers on DJ Lagway?
LSU, the blitz.
LSU. And they blitzed every freaking down and ran zone and like mixed coverages behind it. And I mean, it was one of the worst game plans I've seen from this current staff. And I have suspicions about who had a role in forming that game plan with PK. And that guy needs to not be in the room. It was one of the dumbest game plans I've ever seen at the University of Texas. That doesn't mean that in the first half, our D-line didn't get pushed around. We lost contain. Jaden Baugh, we realized what tackling like a real running back looks like. Like some of our guys got an introduction to like, oh, he doesn't go down like a sack of potatoes when I put a shoulder in him. He runs through me. Yeah, that's what real running backs do. So I get that. Our D-line was like, whoa, these offensive linemen are mad. They keep firing out low and driving their feet. What's wrong with them? They're supposed to just get a hat on me, you know? And I was like, yeah, welcome to big boy football. And, you know, when we go good on good, it's good on bad at Texas. Mm-hmm. And I think our D-line got a shock. So the game plan was terrible. That doesn't change some of the physical realities of that game. But I think that they need to get unscrewed on defense because I had expectations of our defense. When our offense failed, it's not like I was like, this is shocking. Right. I was just like, oh man, it's this bad. Okay, well, all right. This Florida team. So Florida coming in had 34 pressures in 4 games. Against us, they had 36.
I know that stat was crazy.
Did you see my stats on Brian Taylor?
Oh, yeah. He looked like, what did he say? He looked like Aaron Donald out
Brian there. Taylor, number 33 for Florida. If you rewatch the All-22, Connor and I are familiar with this guy. He's their defensive tackle. He played in all 4 games. He averaged 22 snaps a game. And he had 0 pressures, 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits. And guess how many quarterback hurries? 0. Connor, you're so smart.
Yep.
Against Texas, only facing Hudson, Stroh, and Brooks. That's who he only went against. In 24 snaps, he had 5 pressures, 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hurries, and a big quarterback hit as Arch was releasing the ball that affected his throw. He basically looked like Aaron Donald, and the dude was a box score nothing for 4 prior games. That is how bad it was on offense. But I'm telling you, on defense, our game plan, garbage. It was an F. So we could replay that game with a better game plan and still win in the swamp just off of our defense. But they blew it.
Thamel just reported like right now that he's pushing to get back and believe that it is possible.
Thamel is very much a tool of coaching sources.
No, or player sources. And it's like, so that's what I have to see with Thamel is this gamesmanship, because someone gave this information to Thamel, right? So are they giving that because it legitimizes the fact that there's gamesmanship, or is it just true? So that's what you have to pay attention to. But you got to plan this like Mateer's coming. And there's a part of me, like my ego is like, look, I want to beat OU when they have their team. You know, but also with this Texas team this year, I'm like, well, yeah, the win would be nice with Hawkins, but there's still that like ego that I'm just like, come on, man. Like they felt great, but some of these victories are hollow. I need to see what Sark does against teams of similar talent, and it hasn't been great.
Yeah, I'm dumb enough to be like, I kind of want to beat OU at full strength. But then I rewatch our All-22. And I'm like, oh, I hope Michael Fasusi gets diarrhea. All right, we got a super chat.
Name the coach to do it.
No, it's for $20. So
our other fan never plays around. He hooks it up.
Yeah, so I'm talking about Dwayne Aquina, obviously.
$20 is Paul's number. Is my favorite thing ever.
You can buy me for $20. If you had to get an $18 super chat, I wouldn't have told you.
Yeah, exactly. 19, Paul his morals would have.
That's right.
Stood up. But yeah, these are the Texas D ranks. They have the advantages. But once again, just the point that is that this was the first team trying to attack us with talent. Now, does Oklahoma have those pieces on offense? No, they don't. Like, they don't have a Jaden Ball. They do have good receiver in Burke, but Dallas Wilson was going like sicko mode. So how Florida beat us is not necessarily the tools that Oklahoma has to beat us. So that's a little bit more comforting. But as Thamel reports, Mateer's out there, at least make it weird, break plays, and do his thing. All right, let's look at the rushing offense real quick for our dear Sooners. Rushing success rate, like forward movement, is okay at 37th. Their running back room is nothing special. Jaden Ott, when he does come in, he can just run outside. Like
There's one key stat here, Connor.
What you want to look at? The explosiveness,
line yards, and explosiveness.
Oh yeah, we'll do the line yards when we hit the off. But
I want to do it now.
Okay,
I'm the talent.
Yeah, you can do whatever you need. Rushing success rate 37th. Oh, and then Blaylock, all right, but their running back room, there's nothing freaky about the running back room. Rushing.
What is the deal with Ott right now? Is he hurt?
I have no idea.
Why does he suck? He didn't suck at Cal.
I don't know. I wish I knew.
Does anyone know in the chat? Is he like playing?
Actually, know in the chat.
Actually, know.
Yeah. But they have some similar issues with rushing explosivity. They're 81st, so they're not hitting any big stuff. Yards per rush, 83rd, and then you can see here, as Paul wanted to hit, offensive line yards 89th, rushing power success rate. So like third and short, fourth and short, gotta have it. They're 88th. And then they get stuffed a lot at 106. So people are breaking through the lines. Texas not always trying to stuff. So that's going to be a factor. But Texas, once again, defensive line has the advantage on the offensive line in the run game, most assuredly. They also just have the advantage pretty much overall.
So wait, let me ask you, Connor. Looking at the OU has its own issues on the interior offensive line, I should say. The defensive line has no issues. You don't think we're going to try to like bring it and play on the other side of the line of scrimmage?
I would hope we do. It's just not what
we do.
It's just not what we've done. You know,
sometimes I get all excited and I'm like, I can't wait to see our defensive game plan. And I'm like, oh, we're just
let's see. We're
just going to run our stuff.
This is the tackles for loss per game. Texas is 91st in the nation in tackles for loss on defense.
Yeah.
So that's not really our style, and it's not what we're good at.
You're not going to let me like live a fantasy early in the week?
I hope, dude.
Okay.
All right. And then, well, before we go into their passing game, let us hear a word from Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Any gate can be a tailgate.
Go to Academy, guys. All right. So here's their passing offense. It's a little wonky. It's a little Christmas tree-y. So success rate is 35th. It's very quick passing. That makes sense. Get the ball out fast. Their explosivity sucks, though. They're 101st. So they're not hitting shots. Most of their big plays are like they catch something pretty quick over the middle, like Kanik or whatever, and then they just kind of keep going. So that's really where the middle of the field is what I would protect versus OU in the passing game. They're going to spread you out on the perimeter with screens and stuff, but really they're just spreading you out there so they can hit you here, intermediate over the middle. So that's a big factor, but they're not a bombs away team traditionally. Who knows what they do versus Texas, but
so I think we're going to see a ton of mesh, ton of crossers, ton of hitting guys on the run, right? And they're going to try to time it between the hashes, to your point. I think that's going to be Satania and Burks.
What do you think about Satania?
I think he's the same guy. I mean, he's talented. He's SEC replacement receiver.
I always get him mixed up with Luke Haas, that was also the inside guy at Arkansas. And every time I watch it, yeah, I know, but he was still like their inside. Like whenever I was breaking him down, he would hit over the middle. And so I just like mix the inside with slot. And every time I watch him, I'm like, that's not what I remember him. And then I'm like, okay. Burks. Yeah, Burks is third. Did you see what happened to Keontae Lewis? That was scary, dude.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, like on an early play of the game on a post, they have the brick wall at Oklahoma behind the end zone.
Yeah.
They overthrow it just a little bit and he catches it and he falls and his head and neck land like that on the brick wall and his body lands flat. And so he got stretchered out, dude. Like they say that dude, it was like legit scary. It was not cool.
Is he okay?
Yeah, they're saying that he's okay. But it was like the worst possible situation there. So Lewis that was a scary injury. That was not cool. I was texting some people in OU world to see if he was all good. I don't know what it means for this week. I don't know if it means he doesn't play or anything. I'm just saying that was a scary moment. And then Kanik, man, he's done good work for them.
Well, let's talk about that.
He's receiving well.
He's receiving well. I agree that he is a receiving threat because he's fast and he's athletic. Not a blocker. One thing that jumped out on the old all 22 watching OU. So we can talk about that. But Jaren Kanak is not a blocking solution at tight end, but he certainly is a receiver. I would treat him as a receiver. I would not account for him in personnel as like, well, they got the tight end in, we got to go base defense. Like I would treat him as like a receiver and put a nickel, like have Johnny McDonald. Like I don't treat Jaren Kanak as a blocking tight end or a blocking guy.
They quick screen him outside like he's a receiver.
Fast.
Yeah, like they get it to him and go.
So he's always been a guy, for those who don't know, Jaren Kanak was a guy who started on defense. He was a linebacker, and they always were like, this is the next Teddy Lehman, whatever, because he runs like a 4.40 or whatever, right? But he just doesn't like see it. And he wasn't very physical. He was always like missing tackles and stuff like that. So they moved him from starting linebacker to tight end because they just don't really have bodies there or useful ones. And he's very athletic, but not a blocker. So
I think he
treat him as a big receiver.
I think he played tight end in high school too, but I might be misremembering that. But he was he's part of the Bash Brothers. Who was the Stutzman? It was him and Stutzman.
Stutzman carried the weight on that.
Stutzman handled a lot of that
on that marketing.
He's also Kanik is funny, dude. Like on social media and stuff. Like he's a very funny. He's the one that had that clip a year ago that I posted where they had a podcast together, like Stutzman and him, and they were talking about another team. They're like, teams always huddle against us because they think we steal plays. And then Kanik was like winked at the camera right there. That was funny. And also, dude, if Michigan is huddling against you, the one with a major sign stealing operation is the one huddling against Oklahoma's defense. What does that tell you when the criminal is like,
Venables is a very famous sign stealer, but he does it within the correct. We think within like normal gamesmanship, which if a guy can decipher your signals, tough luck. That's on you. So that said, I never put anything past OU in any regard, right?
Yeah, and that's that's a good point. Yeah, I think it's fair game, but OU gets huddled up against a lot, and that should tell you what's up. So passing explosivity is not good. Yards per pass is middle of the road. They get sacked about a middle of the road amount. The offensive line is slightly above average in pass blocking. So you'll see that it's still mostly advantage Texas as well in the passing defense versus OU's passing offense. And then we've got the efficiencies here, the overall opponent adjusted efficiencies. Their offense is 38th in the country. Texas defense is 4th in the country. And then OF plus, which includes their kind of like recruiting rankings. You can see that there's a little difference here. So 28th in the country, and then Texas is 3rd. My favorite stats are always the situational football because I really think that's how you actually win games.
That's 80% of football.
Yeah, because that's 80%.
What's funny, coaches spend 80% of their practice time on regular football, 2nd and 10 on the 30. And 80% of your wins are going to come from 3rd and 1, 4th and 2, 3rd and 9 on the opponent's 9-yard line. Or what do? It's you get the ball first down on your 2-yard line. How do you address getting out of there, right? that's really what determines football games. And we spend 80% of our practice time on 1st and 10 on the 25.
Yep.
It's like, it's very interesting, right?
Yeah. It's backwards. All right. So their standard downs rate. So this is important is 30th. Standard downs just meaning normal downs where you could theoretically run or pass and you're not unbalanced. So you could throw the shot, you could run the ball, you could do the quick pass. All the full menus available to you. Better offenses are going to have higher standard down rates, and OU is 30th. What's important is the Texas defense is 65th, a little like barely above average in standard downs rate. So we're giving teams too many good situations and leaving the menu open to them too often. And people wouldn't think that about the Texas defense, but we're not putting ourselves in great positions, actually, which is notable. When they are in standard downs, their success rate is 28th in the country. And their passing downs rate, it's the inverse of the same number, so the rank will always be the same. But what's interesting is they're also doing well in passing down success rate. And so really you want that in 70s or lower, because that means if you get them behind the sticks, they're in trouble. But even behind the sticks, OU has been pretty good. And so that's a big factor. The difference is Texas has been really good when teams get behind the sticks, ranked 6. So Oklahoma has some advantages here, but they don't have the advantage if they do get behind the sticks. So that's important to kind of watch out for.
I mentioned this before. I'm still trying to understand the dichotomy between our early downs EPA
and standard down.
Yeah, because your most common standard downs are early downs.
Yeah. I don't know why that relationship is getting flipped. It could be so like
we're bad at 1st and 10, but great at 2nd and 7.
Well, it could be early downs EPA that like you're in standard downs, but you're not like crushing it. You're just kind of slightly moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so EPA is going to account for like how well you do in that context.
Yeah.
So you could move forward and make your success rate look good. But if you're just moving forward at the bare minimum, EPA is like, I don't care about that.
Yeah. EPA really does focus on like explosives and stuff. Right?
Yeah. And
they don't care about the 5-yard screen pass.
Right. So it's like, that's where I think that there's that difference is that they're like, look, they are moving forward, but they're not like moving forward at 10 yards a clip moving forward.
Good point.
And so I think that's where that difference comes up. Third down percentage, 31st in the country, pretty good. Flip side, Texas is 14th on D, so Texas still has the advantage there. Average third down distance, 6.92. Texas has the advantage. Oklahoma, number 1 on 4th down. Interesting. But Texas balance, I mean, the difference between 1 and 2 is not going to be significant. So Oklahoma technically has the advantage on 4th down. What I don't like is this red zone here. Number 1 in the country in red zone.
How much of that's in the tier, though, right? Isn't that the difference maker?
Yeah, for sure. We've only seen one game of Hawkins, right? And when they did Hawkins, it was Kent State. So,
well, here's what we do know about the red zone. When you run your quarterback, you have an advantage, right? You have that extra man advantage of you're not at a -1 blocking deficit, right? Where the quarterback is superfluous. Hawkins can maintain that. And we also know that Hawkins can do like little red zone-y type passing things. Like the sorts of throws that you make in the red zone, he can do that. So I think it's important, obviously, we keep OU out of the red zone. But when they get there, they may continue to still have success. I don't think number 1 in the country success, but I don't think it's crazy to think that they could still be successful with Hawkins in the red zone.
He can run, and they do this consistent thing with the tight ends, and you got to watch them. So they'll have the tight ends lined up either in line or, right there at H-back, and then they'll fake block them, and then they'll cut back out. And I've seen them do it several times, and that's an easy score because they do go and act like they're blocking, and then they turn and go the opposite direction.
Where it gets really nasty is when they combine that with like a pick play.
Yep.
They'll have a receiver, and they run a lot of pick plays. Mm-hmm. So, you have to coach through it. But I think that's like the thing where you have to talk to the officials before the game and just be like, hey, we notice they run a lot of pick plays. Like, can you look for that today? And, it's kind of the whim of the official whether they call it or not.
So what's kind of freaky here, right, is the Texas defense is now 76th in the red zone.
We were bad before because of limited opportunities that there was success. Then Florida went 4-4 in the red zone.
So we were bragging earlier in the season, at least I was, that this was like elite bend but don't break stuff, right? It was like, but now we're getting a little bit of bend and then break. And so that's a little troublesome here. This is not what the Texas defense number has. It's looked like top 3 the past couple years. So it's a little nerve-wracking to see that they're the number 1 red zone offense versus a 76th ranked red zone defense, even though that feels like, how could that be? But it be
because it is.
Yeah.
Probably the most disconcerting snap that I saw in the red zone against Texas was Florida, an early drive, maybe their first drive. They have a 3rd and 1 on our 6. They motion out the backside boundary receiver and they run the ball with Jaden Baugh. And he has an option of like reading Taff and he bounces it outside. Lance Jackson loses contain completely. Taff makes the decision to come in and try to make the tackle on Baugh. Baugh just like shrugs him off and then he strides into the end zone. So he didn't just get the first down. He ran for 6 yards on goal line, like our 9-man front. And I was like, that's not good. That's not what you want to see on your D. Like, at the very least, you want that to be stuffed and say, hey, you're going to have to throw it in. You're going to have to do something different. I don't think Florida can do that. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't think OU can do that because they don't have Florida's O-line and they don't have Baugh.
Right.
But it's disconcerting to see us lose containment in goal line with a 9-man front. That shouldn't happen. That's not a thing. And we lost containment a few times. So I think that's going to be stressed this week. I think we want to be a little less liberal with some of our substitution patterns.
Yeah.
Because we had some guys that were inexperienced and I thought they panicked a little bit in some of the early stages of that game.
I would have.
Yeah.
All right. You know what excites me about a pick-heavy offense? Our defense living in man coverage. So there were a couple times we're getting a little bit arrogant with the man. So do you remember the 3rd down? It was like 3rd and 8 or something like that. Sturdivant, it's Gilbo on Sturdivant, and they're in pure man, and Sturdivant just runs through the middle of the field. Gilbo has to go over, and they get it. So there's a technique in corners called MES, M-E-S, and it means man except shallow. So there should be a wrap player in the middle that should pick up that guy because that exact route destroys man coverage.
Yeah.
And we just let him do it. And it's like, first off, we don't got corners like that. And then second off, even if you have a corner like that, they're not able to run through linebacker and all of that. So we got a little arrogant on some of these plays and they called us on it. Like, these coaches are smart. They know how to beat man. That's like a point of pride. Like, watch any clinic. There's like 90 routes. So hopefully we don't go as man-centric.
Well, if we turn our back to Hawkins on 3rd and 5,
he'll take off too.
We'll deserve exactly what we get, right?
Yeah, that's a big point. Good idea. All right, we talked about a little bit earlier where they're sacks, but they're about middle of the pack. That's okay when you have runaround quarterbacks. That's just kind of going to be the nature of it. But even though they're average, Texas defense is worse at getting those sacks. 75th in the country in sacks right now for the Texas defense. Strange, man. Not what I thought with preseason looking at personnel would be. I thought this would be pass rush centric. So it's like the first 4 weeks, I was like, yeah, they're doing quick passing concepts, whatever. But like now, I mean, we're going into week 7 now. I'm like, okay, like what's going on there? So they still have the advantage in not getting sacked technically. We'll see if we change it up this game, but they do fumble a lot. 92nd in the country in fumbling. So maybe
really?
Yeah, good. Yes. And then they have the tackles for loss side. So, and their returning production, which I think was important, is 8th for them. So Texas defense 31st. Paul, who should you call to get your mortgage?
You should call a guy named Gabe Winslow. You can reach him at 832-557-1095. You know what's great about October, Connor? Great weather, football, awesome little hint of fall coming. And if you go look for a house right now, rates are way down, lowest rates in a year, over a year, and there's no one to compete with. If you want to look for a house, this is the time to go get a house right now. And if you want to refi, stay in your house and get a lower rate. This is the guy to call. 832-557-1095. Proud Texas alum, former National Merit Scholar. He's got a law degree, over 20 years in the industry. He's awesome at what he does. I was just talking to him the other day, and he is absolutely killing it right now with a lot of folks from this channel and the Everyone Gets a Trophy podcast and all the other outlets in which we are proud to have Gabe as a sponsor. So give him a call, 832-557-1095.
Yeah, I'll see in our comment section sometimes someone's like, yeah, man, Gabe.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'll put up stuff at Inside Texas and people will be like, hey, man, I did a mortgage with Gabe. He's awesome. And I'm like, okay, well, thanks for putting that in my, analysis of our defensive backroom.
All right. So here are the quick mismatches. There's actually not a lot. So seconds per play is the advantage for Oklahoma, meaning that they have a tempo advantage over the Texas defense, what the Texas defense has seen. So Oklahoma, expect them to move the ball a little quicker than we've seen as well. Texas has a mismatch advantage in explosiveness. So hopefully they're not able to hit those big plays. The Texas defense has been pretty solid there. Same part of this is Texas has the advantage in passing explosivity, but it's not a ton of mismatches here in general. So I'll hear that well, Texas offense is bad, but so is Oklahoma's. It's like, this is not a bad Oklahoma offense. It's not a great one. It's not what has traumatized us in the past, but if you can see, there's not a ton of mismatches here. So even though their offense isn't elite, it's not comparable to say that they're like Texas's offense. No, they're not. All right. Let's get more positive, Paul. Let's look at the Oklahoma defense versus Texas offense.
All right, let's do it.
Let's end it on a high note, baby.
Hey, so in wrapping it up, I think the OU offense, they're going to try some stuff. Obviously, they're going to have a couple of big plays or trick plays dialed up.
Mm-hmm.
Their job is to not lose the game. And Venables coming in thinks that he can win this game with his defense. And of the two defenses, and I think both defenses are going to have big advantages in this game, right? Which stylistically has a defensive mind who is more likely to press their advantages to try to win the game?
Venables.
Yeah. So he's going to run cheats. He's going to cheats within the concept, not Sooner cheating, normal Sooner cheating. Cheats like, hey, if they line up this way, just fire. We know it's this play and it's a -5 yard, run, right? So only one coach defensively in this game is going to say, not only do I want to stop you and nullify you or prevent big plays, I'm going to win the game with my defense. I'm going to get a strip sack fumble return for 70 yards and turn the tide. Because if you've coached or played in Texas OU, it's all about emotion and riding the tides and the ebbs and flows. But the big plays are what turns this game. And just everyone feels it. Like, oh no. And it's happened to both sides. Both sides, both fan bases know what it feels like because they've been on the other end of it. So I think that is the big difference here. Because people are like, well, what about OU's offense against our defense? It's like, oh, we got a ton of advantages. They're not going to light us up. However, only one defensive mind says, I'm going to win this game with my defense. And here's how. I'm not just content to nullify your offense. I'm going to score with my defense. So I think that's the stylistic difference that kind of gives me pause.
Yeah, 1,000%. The famous poker quote is, poker is about putting a man to a decision, right? You're gonna lead them to an inflection point and you hope they make a mistake. That's BV. He's like, I'm gonna put so much heat on you. We're gonna see if you can handle it. And that's what is fun about his style of play, because it's total opposite philosophies with our defensive coordinators. Now, both have had success, which shows you different philosophies can have success, but when he smells blood in the water versus this Texas offense, after Texas has, 2 of the years been able to just kill them when they're down, he's going to unleash it. And it's not just – sometimes it's not sound, but it's still pretty sound. Like, he has the answer. Whenever they're blitzing, they're trying to force you to throw to a certain guy, and then they'll have a guy drop into that window. So it's not just raw aggression. There's calculation to what BV does as well. So,
well, his estimation is like, so we caught him last year in the run game because he had some slants and then guys got pushed too far because our O-line, handled that kind of stuff really well last year, the way BV was running it. And we had some, big green grass runs for Trey Wisner, right? Where all you had to do was run fast down the field and score. I think BV watching our offense will have so much contempt for our run game that I think he'll try stuff like, even if we call the wrong thing and they have the right thing, we're not getting punished with a 60-yard play. We're getting punished with an 8-yard run.
You're about to see that. You're about to see that that's there on paper for their OU defense and explosivity, but we don't have the horses to call it. So that we'll see. Yeah, we'll see that in 1 second whenever we hit defensive rushing.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm jumping the gun.
No, man, you're right. You're leading us down the right path. Opponent points per game, they're second in the country. Seconds per play is slow, but I don't really care about that. Opponent yards per play, OU's defense is first in the country. Defensive points per drive, they are third in the country. Defensive success rate, meaning stringing together drives, they are first in the country. Here's the weakness to this aggressive style. They're 127th in the country in explosiveness.
Yep.
Pull up the stats, right? That would probably be helpful. See it now, right? Do you see it?
See what?
The stats.
Yeah, I can see them.
Okay, for some reason they were doing something weird on my computer. Defensive explosiveness, 127th. So you have to counterpunch this defense. I'm hearing people say things like, well, we don't have an offensive line. We need to really hit the screen game. No. They want everything in front of them. If it's in front of them, they will attack you. They are incredibly they're like predator. Like, they lock on to whatever's in front of them and they rally and they hit. That's the whole thing. You can tell that's what they're repping in practice. All the stuff you have to do with OU is when they send that blitz or when they do that, you got to throw it up and you got to hit. Like, that's how you beat Oklahoma. Auburn tried it, right, with Cam Coleman when they were throwing those fades. They would miss, but you saw it work several times. So that's a factor. You cannot play this game at the line of scrimmage. You will score 10 points. Like, you have to try to take shots on these guys.
Yeah, I think their secondary has some weaknesses.
So do I.
Big time. And they cover it up in clever ways. And they've got some really good guys in their secondary. So you've got to be careful who you're targeting.
Correct.
But, man, it's there. If you can block it up, there's going to be some single shots down the field, in the middle of the field, or on fade routes where we can have a 70-yard touchdown.
The tricky part is just that. Like what you saw versus Florida in the All-22, like, these routes are so long developing. And the receivers are not even looking back. Like, it's so downfield. And then you're reading the safety. If the safety does, you're going to get sacked. Like, to me, Jackson Arnold, it's got to be an auto fade now, because you can quick throw short and you can quick throw deep. You have to quick throw deep, meaning that, and this is also a tricky part, the wide receiver has to win off that line, and they have to get behind the guy now, because that ball's coming out whether Arch knows if it's there or not. So it's like, that's the big thing too, is it's there, but our wide receivers aren't really known for their beat a man off press and get down the line. So, but I worry about anything that's like, if you got to do like a post over, now we're reading the second, what is that safety sacked? So it's like, it's just the ball's got to come out whenever you see it. And their secondary is so used to just not having to do much, frankly, because they're so dominant. They like DPI. They do weird stuff when the ball's in the air, because it's only going to happen like 4 or 5 times, and they don't know when it's coming. There's also that.
They have a very grabby secondary, and they'll straight up just take a DPI. And half the time it doesn't get called. So people are like, yeah, I'll gladly trade a DPI for not giving up a 70-yard touchdown. It's like, well, half the time they don't get a DPI. So it's an even better exchange in that regard, right? Whereas the NFL, you really are going to get punished for being grabby, right? But hey, one thing I do want to preface and encourage people to go watch if you're not. We're going to be doing an all 22 deep dive later, and we're going to show you an example of when we get a route out on timing pretty quick, what this offense can do and what Arch Manning can do. There was a play in the Florida game that I pulled where we went trips, and instead of doing a big over to the other side of the field, which is Sark's big thing, we just ran like typical trips coverages, like 3-layered route, and then the inside guy ran an out. Arch dropped back, and he threw the out halfway before the guy had even finished his route. 25-yard completion, first down, Texas. And it looked easy. And I was like, man, this is what the offense can do if we'll shorten up the routes or put a little more timing into it. Now, I know you can't live on that, but you can get the ball past the 40. Like, you can like have a pulse as an offense. So we're going to show you some discouraging stuff later in the all 22, but we're going to also try to show you some encouraging stuff as well.
All right. Defensive havoc total, they're 4th in the country. The problem is their front 7 is number 1 in the country in causing havoc, right? So sacks, batted balls, stuffs, all of that. That's not good because our offensive line is not good. They could absolutely shut us down here. And that's with slants, games. They could absolutely overwhelm this Texas offensive line. But to our point, their defensive havoc total for DBs is 88th, right? So that's where your advantage is. There's not a ton going on there. Their front 7, man, to me, we're an air raid team. What the hell is the offensive line? That doesn't even exist to me. Get it out quick, deep. Like let's do that because you do have the advantage in explosiveness, and you do have the advantage. You see, the only 2 real advantages are right here. Get explosives and target their secondary when you can.
Well, let me ask you this, because it's not stylistically or philosophically what Sark does. When the quarterback gets the ball, and I want you guys to think not only Arch, but Quinn Ewers or even Casey Thompson. When the quarterback immediately gets the snap and throws the ball in our offense, it's a screen or it's a throwback screen. Okay? 2 types of screen. I could have left with screen.
No, I'm
trying to emphasize screen. Or we have like literally he catches it, Jaden Blue starts running a little arc route out of the backfield, and you just flip it to him, right? Those are the 3 times. Ball hits quarterback hand, ball comes out. Okay? We never take green grass.
I know.
And what I mean by that is the classic, you have 4 dudes out, and they, one guy's running a post, one guy's running a stop, 2 guys are running verticals. The quarterback drops back and goes, green grass, and throws it to the stop guy instantly, and you get 7 yards. That is not a part of our offense.
I know.
And people keep saying we need to have quick throws. It's like, I can show you our quick throw game, and it's not successful. It's Arch staring down a guy 2 guys early in the game and throwing into double coverage on an RPO. It's Arch. We have a throwback screen called, and it's perfectly called, by the way. We had it blocked up, and Arch does a fadeaway for some reason, for no reason, and Christian Clark can't catch it because it's literally at his shoelaces. That's our quick game. We don't have a spread quick game.
Right.
So when people say, well, we just need to go quick game, it's like, what mythical quick game are you referring to?
Yeah.
We don't take green grass. So there's some offenses. I saw Missouri do this, believe it or not. There's some offenses where the quarterback will come up to the line of scrimmage and you have like an uncovered slot, meaning like there's coverage, but there's a guy like 15 yards off him. And then there's like 2 zone defenders like hedged towards him, but not on him. And you just take the ball, your slot turns around, you throw it to him, and he runs up 6 yards. Okay? We don't have that. We don't do that. We don't have a green grass system or even an informal audible in to anything we do. I think that would help us, particularly this offense. But people are always like, well, let's just go quick game. And it's like, well, we're going to have to create a quick game starting today in practice because it does not currently exist other than what I described.
Yeah, and it's incredibly frustrating because you see it literally every other team in college football has it. And it's look, if you're lined up in the slot and the nickel has inside leverage, he's going to break out and then quick pass. If he's outside leverage, he's going to break in. It's like fundamental quick game passing. And we're just like, no, that's not cool enough. We need guys to cross. We need a safety to read. Like this,
you know who does it? It's in your backyard, and you need to go to this game, the big North Texas, South Florida.
Yeah, South Florida, dude. The tickets are like $50. I was like, that might be easy.
That's gonna be one of the most funnest games you can watch in college.
I'm thinking about it honestly.
North Texas, their quarterback Mestamaker is such like Texas spread boy. Like I don't even know if he's from Texas, but ball hits his hand, and if a dude has an angle, like or just an alignment leverage on a DB, he just throws it. It's like boom, boom, boop, and the guy catches it. And sometimes he gets 3 yards. Sometimes he gets 30 because he breaks one tackle and he gets. It's like the cheapest yardage possible, and
we do not take it ever.
We don't. It's not a part of our offense because that doesn't exist in the NFL. There is no cheap yardage in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
but even they're starting to do it. Like Kingsbury does it. Like it's even getting into the NFL. It's just way harder to do it.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I have seen, but like you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's not pro. It's not traditional pro style NFL offense. Yeah, and that ego is what drives me nuts. So we'll see. So here's the big factor. So this is important. Their defensive rushing success rate is first in the country. You're not going to be able to get runs. Like you're going to get stopped. And what you have to do, and if you remember the best play to talk about this was Justice Haynes coming out into the third quarter. They run counter and OU over pursues and he hits the backside for like 80 yards.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the Michigan game.
Yeah. Michigan. Sorry. Yeah. That's what you need to do. You need to hit that backside and you go. Okay, so what do you need with a team that slants and runs games all the time? They will get out of their gap eventually. You need a lightning fast processor that can identify that immediately. Don't have that. And then also, even if you're the lightning, if you're a chess grandmaster and can see it, you have to be fast because that hole will close. So you have to identify it in a split second and get through the hole immediately. We don't have that either. So the problem is you'll hear that you can run on OU if you have the ingredients. We don't have the ingredients. So that's the problem. Maybe Arch is still, once again, leading the team in rushing and is frankly the most explosive runner and the best one at understanding blocks. But that's what's tricky is it's not just does a team have a weakness, it's does my team have the strength to exploit this weakness? And that's what I don't think we have. That's what's frustrating here.
Yeah, so I think this game's going to have a big potential to be a rock fight. And then that's going to put pressure on both coordinators, offensive coordinators of, all right, I better not make a mistake here. Like I could lose us the game because a cheap pick six, like when we fall behind and we get into predictable throwing situations, we're done. So we had some critiques of the Texas defense. If OU falls into very predictable passing situations, we will not, I can't imagine that we'll have an idiot game plan again on defense. Like we're not that incompetent. So both offensive coordinators will have that in the back of their mind. Simultaneous to that, the way to exploit OU is sometimes you got to let them hang and go get it. And that has consequences too. So it's a real interesting push-pull philosophically of what we're going to try to do on offense, because it's kind of like, hey, let's not screw this up, but also we got to take our shots. So how can we scheme it up? Can we find a formation that will get OU to line up the way we want? And then that's where we take our shot. Like that'll be a real interesting push-pull, because otherwise I think it's going to be a lot of rock fight and like tackles for loss and sacks and incompletions.
And credit to Sark, I think he does that well. I think, like
every game we've got an open receiver doing something. I mean,
and he also forces them into looks. Like that's what I think his play design is awesome. I have issues with his sequencing and in gaming, but as far as like working through the week, Sark understands the defense. He knows how to make them play to their weaknesses, and he knows how to draw up the play to beat it. It's just, can we execute or can we sequence it correctly to where it makes sense? But,
Brian Nelson has an interesting comment in the chat. I made this parallel before. He says, I've been saying all offseason this Red River shootout. It's not RRR. I don't like the rivalry. It's the shootout.
I have to go for the title on YouTube because saying shootout in the title, they'll be like, oh, he's talking about a shootout.
He's talking about gun violence.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been saying all offseason this RRR game will look like 2009 16-13 vibes. If you guys don't remember that, it was a very good defensively oriented Texas team that people still thought the offense was great, but it really wasn't because people had kind of caught up to Greg Davis playing a really good OU defense that had a terrible offense. And we also injured Sam Bradford, right? But in that game, we won 16-13. The thing that won the game was a wrinkle of Colt McCoy run game where we had put in this little counter play, but with the quarterback as the ball carrier. And that basically, we won the ball game on that little wrinkle and then later hit Marquise Goodwin on a touchdown throw. That was the game. Ryan's correcting me. Landry Jones played for OU. Thank you, Ryan. But interestingly, I wonder if that parallel holds. Is there an Arch Manning run game wrinkle that can get us like a couple of key gains, a couple of big third down conversions, keeps us alive, and then we hit the big shot? Like maybe there's some more parallels to that than we think. Who knows?
We'll see. We'll see with Jackson Arnold, like looking at the Auburn game. All right. Defensive line yards are 4th in the country. Really good. Power success rate, not elite, but good. Stuff rate, good as well. Let's look at the passing defense. So this is what's going to be interesting, right? Passing success rate, 1st.
Wow.
Yeah. So able to cover down. This is the beautiful part of man, right? And disguise. But you can smother. The trick is getting hit. So this is how you can have these polar situations where if you're good at man, you can shut it all down. And if you pair that man with great disguise, which they do, they'll also put out 3 high safety looks, warning you guys now. All of this stuff. It's not just BB's just running man. I don't want to give that impression. They do a lot of disguise and they complement. But the pass game explosivity is 72nd, right? So you can hit that.
All right. Not to say that we have like an elite passing game. Have they played anyone that can throw the ball?
No. It was just Cam Coleman for Auburn.
I mean, because Underwood was like on a remedial game plan. Like Michigan's receivers are awful, right? So they really haven't seen a passing attack, have they?
No.
Okay.
And this is Texas's offensive passing explosivity. 16th, right?
Yeah.
So this is what has to happen. Like we have to hit shots. Like that's the path.
We got to drop a 65-yarder on him, man.
Yeah, and the problem is too, man, they'll get you back. So like I don't care if you're at our 20 and you hit an explosive, means absolutely nothing. They will just regroup. You have to hit explosives that score, and they have to score multiple times.
That's really key.
Yeah.
It's a terrible thing to say, but hitting a 55-yarder that gets us to their 11, that's going to end in a field goal.
Exactly.
Like we got to score. We can't do the Michael Irvin gets caught on the 3-yard line thing.
100%. Like
Emmitt Smith ain't running it in.
Yeah. Yeah. The explosives are not enough. The explosives themselves have to score, or they will regroup and then just shut down the drive at the next series. So opponent yards per pass, they're 6th. Sack rate, number 1 in the nation. And that's why I'm saying
good thing that we don't allow sacks.
Yeah, that's a good thing. So here's the thing. That's what I mean with, look, we need deep concepts, but they cannot be crossers and long developers. Like it has to be arch fade. Like that's how you have to do it, or they will sack us. Overall, their defense right now is 2nd in the country in efficiencies. The Texas offense is 25th, which I'm still shocked by every week when I see that. So that's I agree with this number in all other teams and on all other sides of the ball, so I have to agree with it here, or else I'm just not logically sound. But it shocks me every time that I see that the efficiency is still 25th for the Texas offense. This is what scares the hell out of me, Paul. I put this on Twitter. I shared this in the group chat. This is situational football, and OU holds the advantage, and not just the advantage, the mismatch in most of these categories.
I mean, barely.
Barely 80 ranks better. But more like 79th ranks.
I mean, it's pretty close, dude. Like, let's not pick nits.
This is where you can absolutely see Texas score 10 points. Like, this would be the reason right here. So OU's number 1 in the country on standard downs rate, meaning that teams are constantly stuck in passing downs. Texas is 92nd in the country on passing downs rate. Their standard down success rate is first. Texas is 78th. They're number 1 in the country on passing down success rate. So what does that mean to me? You got to throw your explosives on early downs. This is not a 3rd and 7 chunk it up. It is 1st and 10, fade to wingo. It has to score. Like, not only have they limited what we can do, they've limited when we can do the one thing we can do. And so that's a big, big factor. And then, of course, our passing down success rate on offense is 78th. So throw deep, fast on early downs. But the early downs EPA-D is 4th. So now you're running into tricks. The problem that Michigan did, and this is why I say you can't do it, they're like, well, we're going to keep it short. They're attacking us too much. Quick screens. What did they do? They shut it down every time. Michigan's game plan sucked. So you just have to take your shots. And even that might not work, but that's the path.
What if we quick kick on 2nd down?
I was going to say, someone earlier said we need to kneel 3 times and then punt.
No, they expect the punt.
That's true. Yeah, they see the punt coming, dude.
What if we just punt on 2nd? Because they might think of quick kick on 3rd and long.
Yeah, that's true.
What if you punt on 2nd and 10?
Quick fade on 1st down, punt on 2nd. See if you can get some defensive scores.
Lure them into press man.
Yeah.
No safeties deep. We punt, that thing rolls like 77 yards. By the way, we changed Bouwmeester's number to 16. Arch plays in number 4.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, we got to think outside the box.
Yeah. Their 3rd down defense is 2nd in the country. Texas's 3rd down offense is 103rd in the country. Their average 3rd down distance on defense, they average, when teams are in 3rd down versus OU, it's averages 9.28 yards.
Why do you think that they don't force a lot of turnovers?
I don't know. That's what I think it's man. Like, when they end up in man, because they're not necessarily looking for the ball. So that's what I do think is interesting there. Our average 3rd down distance is 110th. So this leans that Texas is actually going to have 3rd downs further than 7 point.
Connor, we've never had 3rd and 110. A football field is 100 yards.
Paul's somehow like dyslexic and arrogant.
You're such an exaggerator.
So 7.66 our average. That it should be worse, according to the magic numbers here. They're great on 4th down. We're horrible on 4th down. This is what's a little bit intriguing here, right? 54th on red zone. But I would have to see how often teams got into the red zone. Because if you only let them in 3 times or something like that, then it gets a little trickier. But
yeah,
Texas is still 99th in the red zone, so got to score. 1st in the country for sacks per game. Texas is 14th on offense and not getting sacked. So that's at least a little bit brighter. They don't have a lot of interceptions per game. They're 110th. Texas is 88th in throwing interceptions, but they're still got the advantage, boys.
I noticed you kept the good news till the end.
Yeah, exactly. They're not great at fumbles. Texas doesn't fumble a bunch, which is good. They are awesome at tackles for loss per game, though. So that's a big factor. All right. That was rough. The OU defense just on paper is like way better than the Texas offense. The gap between the OU defense and the Texas offense is wider than the Texas defense and Oklahoma offense.
With Michael Hawkins?
That's the question. But we're also seeing a bunch that they're releasing what someone said they released a video of Mateer at practice throwing. So it's like how much of that is games.
But so doing that
makes me think
tells me he's not playing.
Correct. Why would you even think to do that?
Because if he was going to surprise us and play, I would have that under lock and key.
Yep.
And I wouldn't have him throw in warm-ups. Like, I would have him roll out on the first play, and our team would be like, whoa, oh no. Like,
and I would have him at Chipotle talking loudly to the tortilla presser saying, I am not going to play. Because he said, apparently, according to that A&M fan that went viral, he was behind Mateer at Chipotle, and he did want to play last week. So what we need to do is now tell Mateer to return to the Chipotle, speak loudly about how he's not going to play, and then you can discriminate. But not everyone's big brain like that, you know? So
a lot of cloak and dagger at Chipotle.
For sure. You can't trust them, dude. I'm always very quiet at Chipotle because I don't know.
Yeah, I'm loose lips sink ships is my motto in a Chipotle.
Yeah, exactly. You can't trust it. That's Spy Network.
Now, Chick-fil-A, I feel like you can speak freely.
Yeah, I've never had Chick-fil-A release any of my information. Good.
Just the Christian values. I think people keep it more like to themselves and like.
I was at Chick-fil-A and this guy was new and he was really bad. He didn't know anything that was going on. And the manager was so patient with him. It was like the nicest thing ever. I was like, man, this is good. This is good.
Connor's like, where's my waffle fries?
No, I was not. I watched the manager be like, well, remember when we discussed that? And then she walks up, she goes, do you have your name tag on? He's not wearing his name tag. And he's like, yeah, I'm wearing my name tag. And she's like, well, your name tag's not on. He's like, oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. I was like, this is good. All right.
Well, we help you, sir. Have a blessed day.
Pretty much. Penalties per game, they're 57th, so they're a little bit above average. Texas is 129th of 136 FBS teams in penalties per game. What's also not good is OU 17th in the country in luck rating, that damn Sooner Magic, dude. And Texas is 115th. So OU has the luck advantage, how the ball bounces, and they don't get penalized as much. We shoot ourselves in the foot, and on top of shooting ourselves in the foot, we're an unlucky football team and how the ball bounces. Michael Taft or whatever causes the fumble on Wilson, and Wilson can just turn around and pick it up, right? That kind of stuff. They're not great at turnover margin, though. 91st in the country, Texas 38th, so advantage there. Their net field position's okay, 29th in the country. Texas has awesome net field advantage, second in the country, which makes the offense even more frustrating because they're being given incredible situations all the time, and nothing happens. OU's the 17th most talented team in college football. Texas is the first.
See? So we just wasted over an hour.
Yeah, because we are the most talented.
So this game is won.
Yeah, it's over.
Come on.
They have better
time, Connor.
They're better on special teams, 6th in the country. Texas is not bad on special teams, but not as good as Oklahoma's special teams are. And so far, they've played the 37th hardest schedule so far. And Texas played the 8th hardest schedule so far.
So Texas by 30?
Texas by 30.
Okay.
Texas by 30.
30-0 or 60-30?
30-0, dude.
Yeah, 30-0 is more likely.
If Hawkins plays, if Mateer's play, I'll give him 7, you know.
If Mateer plays, I'll give them a field goal, maybe a late touchdown.
Before we get out of here, Paul, are there any players you just want to name?
Like
Mason Thomas is a beast. He's also,
yeah, their interior defensive tackles are very disruptive. It's not Demonic Williams, actually. It's Stone. It's Jackson. It's who's the undersized pass rusher? Grayson Holden.
Yeah.
Those guys have been really disruptive. That's not good news for us, given that center and left guard have really been a problem for us. Marvin Jones Jr., he looks a certain way. I don't think he really plays that way. I like their linebackers, actually. I like Kip Lewis. And I actually like Sammy Almasigo.
Mm-hmm.
I like him more than the other guy that they had starting over him, Kobe McKenzie. But whatever. You know, I guess Venables knows more defense than me, allegedly.
Yeah.
I don't like when they go to their cheetah looks, but that's also against like better offenses. I think that they could have trouble with that. And then, like I said, I think they have some issues in their secondary. I think they're covering up some stuff there. But then they've got a couple of other guys who have played really, really well.
Well, they get Bowen back at corner. He returned for Kent State. So
That's helpful.
that's helpful. Cortland and Guillory, that's the one they were targeting with Auburn was targeting. With
I mean, he had a DPI on every play in the second.
He's a freshman too. So that's who you're going to throw at.
Yep.
And that's who you're going to need. And then Robert Spears Jennings, I feel like he's been there forever.
He is like a 6th, 7th year guy.
Yeah, he's been there forever, dude. And then Peyton Bowen.
Peyton Bowen on the down low, he's a guy you can get in the passing game. If you can get ISO'd on him, you can hit that guy.
Well, the defense is really aggressive too. So it's like, man, like, because my first thought when I was watching is they just trigger on any run stuff, right? So like play action or even RPO, right? Anything that looks like the quarterback's moving is in a runway. That's like a cauldron. But anything, they love this motion if the quarterback wants to do that. And so they'll trigger. And so that's what hopefully you get the secondary to, because they are so like a dog with a stake, like you show it to them and they're just like there. So that's the big factor.
So you heard it here. Connor wants long, slow developing play action.
Yes.
Down the field.
Well, that's the problem is every time you watch the tape and you're like, well, this could beat OU's defense. And you're like, we can't do that. So it's like, Yet. Once we get the reps, dude.
Hey, I don't know about you, but I'm an American.
Wow.
You understand?
Yeah, that's going to be on a truck stop T-shirt.
So I don't like all your defeatism. Let's conclude it because you're making me sick.
Yeah, dude. Paul, let's give the real analysis. But it's a rivalry. The game has been close before.
Anything could happen.
Anything could happen. Thanks for hanging out, chat. Y'all were super active today. We appreciate you. We're going to have a fun week. We're also going to do a film study you guys are going to see later in the day. I know you guys are going to enjoy that. Do not forget, hey, it's Friday. Call out sick. You don't have to work on Fridays. You accrued time for a reason. Come to Texas Live. It is 100% free, and if you've never been to Texas Live, it's a sick venue. Oklahoma Breakdown at 11, our live podcast at noon, and then, of course, the big dogs, Mac Brown and Barry Switzer at 1. Also, come join InsideTexas.com for only $1 and get a full year of access to The Athletic. This was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Everyone have a wonderful day. Later.